Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are covering the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 48, which I believe is Krishna pleases his devotees. And we are reading text number 26 to 30. Let me just pull it up. Bhagavatam 10:48. Krishna pleases his devotees. Text number 26. Kapanditastvad aparam sharam samiyad bhakta priyad ritta gira surdhidakrita gyat sarvandadati sridido bhajato bikaman atmanamapi upachaya pachayo nayasya. What learned person would approach anyone but you for shelter, when you are the affectionate, grateful, and truthful well-wisher of your devotees? To those who worship you with sincere friendship, you award them everything they desire, even your own self, yet you never increase or diminish. This is purport. This verse describes both the Lord and his devotees as Surhita, well-wishers. The Lord is the well-wisher of his devotee, and the devotee lovingly desires all happiness for the Lord. Even in this world, an excess of love may sometimes produce unnecessary solicitude. Solicitude, who knows what that, let's see. Now we have books where you just like put our finger on it and look it up. Care or concern for someone or something. So unnecessary solicitude. Sometimes an excess of love may sometimes produce an unnecessary solicitude. For example, we often observe that a mother's loving concern for her adult child is not always justified by an actual danger to the child. A grown child may be wealthy, competent, and healthy, and yet the mother's loving concern continues. Similarly, a pure devotee always feels loving concern for Krishna, as exemplified by Mother Yashoda, who could only think of Krishna as her beautiful son. Lord Krishna had promised Akrura that after killing Kamsa, he would visit his home, and now the Lord kept his promise. Akrura recognizes and glorifies the Lord as Rita Giraha, one who is true to his word. The Lord is Kritagya, grateful for whatever little worship a devotee offers, even if the devotee forgets, the Lord does not. And then we'll read the next verse. Drishcha Janardana Bhavat Ihat Nanat Pitito Yogeshwarai Api Durapa Gati Sureshwahai Chindhyaso Na Shuta Kalatra Dhanapyakeha Dehadi Moha Rasanam Bhavadiyamayam. It is by our great fortune, Janardana, that you are now visible to us, even the masters of yoga and the foremost of demigods can achieve this goal only with great difficulty. Please cut the ropes of our illusory attachment for children, wealth, wife, influential friends, home, and body. All such attachment is simply the effect of your illusory material energy. Iti archya samstutascha bhaktena bhagavan harihi akuransa snitam praha nirbi samohayaniva. I remember Mukunda Dat Prabhu, he said that when oftentimes when the meter changes, it's like a change in the flow of the conversation. So now it's Sukadeva Goswami who's speaking. He said, thus, worshipped and fully glorified by his devotee, the Supreme Lord Hari smilingly addressed Akrura, completely charming him with his words. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Twamsno Guru Pritipyascha Shlagyo Bhandush Chanityada Vayam tu Raksha Poshascha Anukampaya Prajahivaha. The Supreme Lord said, you are our spiritual master, our paternal uncle, and our praiseworthy friend, and we are like your sons, always dependent on your protection, sustenance, and compassion. There, see.
Is that Padayatra?
Oh, that's Ramananda. He was verifying the truth of the Bhagavatam by making a bell sound. Bhavadvida Mahabhaga Nishevaya Arha Sattamaha Shreyas Kamer Nityam Deva Swarta Nasadavaha. And this is the last verse that we read. Exalted souls like you are the true object. Who's speaking to who? Who's speaking to who?
Akrura to Krishna?
Yes. No. Because it's Krishna now speaking to Akrura.
Okay.
So he's telling, no. You are the true objects of service and the most worshipful authorities for those who desire the highest good of life. Demigods are generally concerned with their own interests, but saintly devotees never are. Whereas demigods may award material benefit, the saintly devotees of the Lord have the power to award real perfection of life, Krishna consciousness. Thus, Krishna reinforces the respectful mood he has adopted towards his uncle, Akrura. As he mentions, no one can deny that, holy places, the demigods, they purify, but that's after a very long time. But the powerful, great saintly devotees like Akrura, what is sadhu sangha sarva shashtakoi, lava matra sadhu sangha sarva srihoida. Short association with a pure devotee can completely purify the heart, can completely transform one's life. Whereas after long association with the demigods in their Vedic forms or long association with the holy Ganga, one becomes purified. We have this reminder when Srila Prabhupada went to Russia, and he was just there for a few days. He was being heavily watched. He was, they did not want him, intermingling with the locals, but somehow they managed to arrange Shamasundar. He was walking and some guy saw him with his that he was American. He asked him if he had any jeans. He was like, because this is people really interested in getting blue jeans. This is American style.
They asked Prabhupada if Prabhupada had any jeans.
No, Shamasundar. He was out, and Shamasundar met this young man and had him come meet Srila Prabhupada, and they met something like 3 hours. But that 3 hours, that person became the seed that established Krishna consciousness throughout all of Russia. A very famous devotee who basically any Russian devotee who is there, which is probably the majority of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. If they're not Indian, they're Russian. And the majority of all of the Russians are all coming due to this one person who met Srila Prabhupada for just a short time, and became thoroughly convinced of the spiritual philosophy of Krishna consciousness, and spread it throughout all of Russia. So let me go back to our first verse that we read. 26. So what learned person would approach anyone but you for shelter when you are the affectionate, grateful, and truthful well-wisher of your devotees? Those who worship you with sincere friendship you reward everything they desire, even your own self, yet you never increase or diminish. And so you find this in the 10th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, and the 81st chapter, also in 4th canto. It talks about how Krishna magnifies our service. He's a very grateful personality. Prabhupada talks about Brahmana and Kripana. So Kripana is a person who, even if somebody has good qualities, we find some negative quality to expand upon. Prabhupada said this is very easy. It's easy to find negative qualities, but it's very rare to be the one who can bring out the good qualities and then reinforce the good qualities in somebody. So in 4th canto, chapter 20 and 10th canto, we see Krishna says that any small service, when you do a tiny little service, Krishna magnifies it and sees it as extremely significant. I mentioned this before about the Sudama. Why didn't Krishna just resolve the concern of Sudama and his wife? Why didn't he just tell Sudama, hey, when you go home, there's going to be a big, beautiful palace, and your wife and you are going to transform to very beautiful heavenly bodies, and you're going to have opulences beyond anything in creation. Why didn't he mention that? Was that because he felt this naparyeham, that he was not able to properly reciprocate with the devotion of Sudama. Sudama gave more than he had. He went to his neighbor's house and he begged a little puffed rice or chipped rice, and he gave what he didn't have to Krishna. So Krishna was thinking, how can I give more than I have? Because Sudama gave more than he had. He had to go to the neighbor's house, and so Krishna's like, I got it. I can't give more than I have. I can actually only even give less than I have. I can only give the opulence of Brahma and Indra. What else can I give? And so he felt that his reciprocation was not proper. So he felt a little shy. He didn't tell Sudama anything because he felt that it wasn't a proper way to reciprocate with his devotee. And so Krishna, he's always eager to serve his devotee, as it's mentioned in one of the purports, that this is a, what does it say? Your own child. Great. The verse described that both the Lord and his devotees are as Suhridha, well-wishers. The Lord is a well-wisher of his devotee, and the devotee lovingly desires all happiness for the Lord. So there's this verse in the Bhagavad Gita: the thoughts of my devotees dwell in me. What is that? Machchita madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam katayantas chachamam nityam tishanti charamanti cha. Now, the interesting thing is that Prabhupada's translation, you could almost take the verse is saying that the devotees, their thoughts are always dwelling in Krishna. But the way it's written, the way the English is written, and you find there's definitely in the Bhagavatam, there's a verse that is saying the way that I'm reading it, that there's a verse that reads it the other way. So the thoughts of my devotees dwell in me. Meaning, you could say in English that the thoughts of his devotees are dwelling within him. And so, whereas the verse is saying, the thoughts of my devotees dwell in me, that their thoughts are all in Krishna. But Krishna, the way that sentence, it seems like it reads both ways. It reads that the devotees are always thinking of Krishna, and Krishna is always thinking of the devotees. And as I mentioned, there is a verse in the Bhagavatam that Krishna is saying he's always thinking of his devotees. And so here Prabhupada, not Prabhupada, but the disciples of Srila Prabhupada saying the devotees of the Lord and the Lord are both described as well-wishers. And he gives the example of Mother Yashoda. She is always concerned. So Krishna is always, what kind of person is better to take shelter? Arjuna gives 4 reasons why we should take shelter of Krishna. 1, this is in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. He gives 1, he has unlimited mercy, unconditional. Oftentimes, we consider devotional service to be conditional. We consider that, because I chant my japa, because I woke up early, Krishna loves me. Because I did this sadhana. Of course, that is so we can keep our hearts and our minds always dwelling within Krishna. But sometimes we consider it as a formula, and that I will get his mercy if I do these rituals, if I do all these things, I will get his mercy. And if I don't, then I don't have his mercy. But it's actually unconditional. It's not how many rounds we've chanted. Krishna says he responds to our devotion, not to the number of rounds or the number of offerings we've done, or to the number of books we've distributed. So it's unconditional. And so he's very kind. He distributes that kindness to everyone, and therefore no one is actually unconditional. Means we're not deserving of it. It's not that we deserve, and that we can see as that we've inherited the mercy. Maybe this person, this devotee, is not chanting rounds anymore. He doesn't have the mercy. Actually, it's unconditional. That person also is still under Krishna's concern and care. Number 2, he always fulfills his promise. He always fulfills his promises. Kunti says, he said to Kunti, there will always be 5 Pandavas. He said there's going to be this war. And in the war, we have both bad guys and many devotees. They're passing away. But Krishna promised there'll always be 5 Pandavas. And so Karna, he saved this Narayana Ashtra. This is the weapon of God, most powerful weapon. And the only thing you can do is if you submit yourself unto God, if you bow down and completely surrender, then the Narayana Ashtra will not destroy you. And so everyone's seeing the terrible might of the ultimate weapon of God. The whole battlefield, all on the side of the Pandavas, they're all bowing down, except whom? Who didn't bow down? Bhima. And so Krishna had to wrestle him to the ground because he was about to get destroyed. And so he meant, his always fulfills his promises. And that's, Akrura is saying there. Then number 3, he's most reliable friend and benefactor. And number 4 is very important. You could have someone who is a pretty reliable friend. And you say, my reliable friend, there's a tornado. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. So number 4 is he's the Supreme Lord. He can do anything. So he's the only one who can actually have offer you shelter. And you find this shelter, it comes when we have great faith in his protection. That is one of the 6 symptoms of surrender, is this faith in Krishna's protection. Protection may be for our own spiritual position, and sometimes protection may be for our physical position. It's not that Krishna is always that in every situation. There's, if somebody passes, then they weren't a devotee. They didn't receive protection. As you see in the Mahabharata, devotees, they left. Associates of eternal associates of Krishna had fought in the battle, and they were like, even the Ramayana. You have what is the vulture's name?
Jatayu.
Jatayu, yes. He got to perform nice devotional service, but his body was vanquished. But then we have many. We also love so many stories of the devotees being protected. There's a story of devotee of Lord Jagannath named Raghu Arakshita, and his father was very charitable, and to the point where he was kind of overly charitable, and they became destitute. And then at some point, his father passed away, his mother passed away, and he was. And before his father passed away, there was an arrangement of marriage between Raghu and a beautiful Brahmani girl in the town. He was a Brahmana, and they both were in love with each other, which is her name, Annapurna. Annapurna is her name. And but when he became poor and destitute, the family did not want this Annapurna to marry to this Raghu. And so when he became very poor and destitute, he actually left the town. He went to Lord Jagannath's village, the town of not village, but the city of Puri. And he would live simply by eating at I think it's the Singhadwara gate, or one of the gates where they serve out the prasadam. And he would live by begging, and he would also serve sadhus who would visit the town. And while he was gone, Annapurna's family was very eager to arrange a new groom, a new person for her to marry, somebody who was wealthy and coming from a respected family. And so they made an arrangement. And so she sent a letter through a Brahmana. This is just like, Rukmini, she sent a letter through a Brahmana. So she sent a letter through a Brahmana to Puri. And the Brahmana went to Puri. He didn't really know the contents of the letter, so he kind of enjoyed the beautiful festivities of Puri. He's like, oh, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath. He went to this place, he went to that place. And then after some days, he finally gave the letter to Raghu. And the letter was dated. It said, my parents are forcing me to marry, although I've already pledged myself to you, my heart to you. And if you do not arrive by this date, then I will commit suicide. I'm not going to be married to someone I've already pledged my heart to. And so Raghunath received this letter, and he was in great distress because it takes about 7 days to walk back to that town. And it was tomorrow when he was supposed to be there, and there was no way he could ever get there that way. So he was praying all night to the point where he was falling. He fell asleep in his prayer and anxiety. And a Vetal came. Who knows what a Vetal is? What's a Vetal?
Ghost.
No, Vetal is they suck blood and they fly. We call it in English vampire. Prabhupada translates in Bhagavatam Vetal as vampire. So a Vedic vampire. If you want to start like a metal band, you can give that name. Vedic Raghu and the Vedic vampires. So the Vetal came and picked him up and carried him all the way in his sleep and put him at the door of Annapurna's house. This Vetal was sent by Lord Jagannath. And so when he woke up in the morning, he realized he's in a completely different place, and then he recognized the house. So he knocked on the door, and the brother answered. He was very disturbed to see Raghu, and then he kind of shut the door and said, "He's here, blah blah blah." And then he opened the door with a nice, "Welcome, welcome," and he brought him in, and they decided they're going to poison him. And so they mixed some poison in the offering. They offered him some food, and then he offered the food to Lord Jagannath. And then his fiance, she snuck a little note. And she wrote, there's poison in this food, and Raghu felt so much terror that he offered Lord Jagannath poison that he vowed to eat it. And so he ate the poisonous food and he died. Yeah? No, he died, yes. And they saw that he was passed, and they were delighted. And then Lord Jagannath brought him back to life. And then they saw how this dead person had come back to life, and they were extremely frightened. And he said, "I'm leaving now. Either you give her to me as my wife, or not. But I'm leaving." And they were very afraid. This dead person had come back to life, and so they said, "Yes, you go. Take you both go." But then the fiance found out about this, and he was a wealthy man. He hired soldiers, and the soldiers were at the exit of the town. And then two soldiers appeared, and you will find this is oftentimes in these pastimes. The two appear, and these two are actually Krishna and Balaram. So two soldiers appeared, and they asked Raghu what his situation. He said, "Well, these soldiers, they're soldiers at the end of the town, and they will likely kill me." And so these two soldiers created an illusion of thousands of Narayans and thousands of soldiers, and all the other soldiers fled. And that's just part of the story of Raghunath. So you have many beautiful stories of Krishna's caring and always being there for his devotee. You have in our lineage, there's Vyasa Tirtha, not Vyasadeva, but Vyasa Tirtha is I think 2 above Madhvacharya, and he was the sage for one of the kings, and the king had his astrology done, and the astrology said that whoever is the king is going to die. And so the Vyasa Tirtha said, "Okay, I will be the king until that point." And so this Brahmana, he became the king. And a snake came in, and he threw his chadar at the snake. And as soon as the chadar touched the snake went into flames. And he said, "Okay, that was supposed to be the death for the king. But Krishna has given me a special type of protection. And therefore now you can become king." There's also another devotee, Ramachandra Dev. He was another king. And this is during the Mughal invasion, and the Mughals, they had invaded Jagannath Puri. They had twice they had attempted this. They invaded the temple. They stole the deity. They put the deity on the steps of a mosque, and they then had a big public burning in Calcutta. And one devotee, even when he was so incensed by this, that he jumped in the fire. that was burning of Lord Jagannath. And some of you may know that the Jagannath, the deity is remade every 12 years or 50 years. I can't remember. I know the carts are remade every 12 years or every year, but the deity is remade after certain periods of times. But there's said to be what is called the heart of Lord Jagannath. Some people say it's a shalagram, but it's inside the deity. And so this devotee jumped in the fire, but he was not being burned by the flames. He hid in the ashes of this fire. And then he brought this heart of Lord Jagannath back to Jagannath Puri. So later, this king Ramachandra, Ramachandra Dev, he also wanted to avoid a sect because he heard that they're wanting to invade again. And so he fought Taki Khan. He fought many times, but one time he was captured and he was 13 months as a prisoner. And then he decided to save the town. He decided, as a kind of political maneuver, to save the temple from being invaded and destroyed. He married the Muslim princess and became a Muslim to appease those people. Oh, there's some noise there. Where that sound's coming from. Okay. So he came back to the town. None of the Smarta Brahmanas wanted to let him inside the temple, even though he did this all because of his service to Lord Jagannath and all his devotees. He actually saved millions of lives because during many sieges they killed millions and millions of people. He saved the temple. He saved the deity of Lord Jagannath, which the devotees said are meant to take care of the Lord in this form. And so he felt very disheartened. He prayed every night at the gate, and the pujaris would begin to see a road of flowers leading towards the gate. And so he prayed for 3 nights, and in the 4th night, that's when the flowers started to appear. And that's how the form of Patita Pavan Jagannath. Now at that gate, there's a deity who is there, Lord Jagannath, who's at the gate called Patita Pavan. He's very, very kind. He's always there for his devotees. And so Krishna, you see that he is always remembering his devotees. What if one is at the time of death and they cannot remember Krishna? That's in the Varaha Purana. It is said, Yadi Matari Doshena Na Chasmaret. Mad Bhakto Mam Na Chasmaret. Aham Smarami Mam Bhakta Nayami Parama Gatim. So Krishna says in Varaha Purana, if my devotee fails to remember me at the time of death, then I will remember my devotee. Prabhupada also says the same point. It's in the 10th canto. I think it's the first chapter. Prabhupada makes the same point. And the same point is also given in the pastime of Ramanujacharya. Ramanujacharya, he had 6 questions, and he asked his pujari friend to pray to the Lord, to pray to the deity to solve his to resolve the questions that he had. And he didn't say what the questions were, but the next morning the pujari came and said, the Lord gave me these verses and there's 6 answers. I don't know the questions, but this is the 6 answers. So let me just see. Let me find it. So yeah, 10th canto, chapter 1, text number 41. This is Prabhupada saying, instead of allowing one to forget one's real position, Krishna can revive one's original identity at the time of death, even though the mind may be flickering Although the mind may work imperfectly at the time of death, Krishna gives a devotee shelter at his lotus feet. Therefore, when a devotee gives up his body, the mind does not take him to another material body. So we can think of devotees don't always pass away in a very romantic way where they're given a very extended period of time and there's devotees chanting in the last word Krishna. It's not like Prabhupada. Not everybody has such a beautiful passing. Sometimes devotees are in accidents, but Krishna says here that if the devotee cannot remember me due to disturbance of mind, then I will remember them. So this is the 6 questions, the 6 answers. And so the 4th answer is the devotees will certainly be liberated, even if by chance they fail to remember me at the time of death. 5th, as soon as my devotees give up their present bodies, I bring them to my supreme abode. So this is spoken by Lord Varadaraja to as an answer to Ramanuja's prayers. So you hear a few pastimes. Why should we take shelter of Krishna? As Akrura says here, he is Rita Gira, true to his word. He is Kritagya. He's very, very grateful. Very grateful. You do very small things, and Krishna sees it as really huge, humongous, unfathomable. How could you do so much for me, and we do so little? He takes it as so wonderful. And then you have in this verse it says Chaya, Krishna. It says, well, if he doesn't increase or diminish. He doesn't. It says Krishna's Vedic mathematics. What is 1 plus 1? 1. What is 1 minus 1? 1. This is Om Purnam Ada Purnamidam. So if all the demigods come and offer Krishna offerings, he is not his chaya. It's not increased. Upachaya. It has not. He's not accumulated more. And if Krishna gives everything to everybody, even his own self, he is not diminished. This is the inconceivable mathematics of Krishna. Let's see. So this one more time. The text 26. He's saying, who is more worthy of shelter? Text 27. He's saying, cut these ropes of attachment, just like Kunti. Even though he's a devotee and his family are devotees, we want to cut off the material connection. We don't want to actually cut off our connection to devotees, but that material pride and connection that is there. Text 28 is charming Krishna. He's charming him, and he's also bewildering Krishna. He not bewildering Krishna, Akrura. He increases his opulences, Samohayan. He bewilders Akrura. Text 29, Krishna begins to speak, and he says, "We are like your sons. We should work. We depend on your protection, sustenance, and compassion. But besides that, you're a devotee. You're the true object of worship." All right. Some questions or comments or reflections?
I have a question regarding Krishna's inconceivable mathematics.
Yes.
So we're like, yeah. Srila Prabhupada describes our material talents and abilities without Krishna as a bunch of zeros. Right? A bunch of zeros. And then you put 1 in front of it, which is Krishna, and then it becomes a billion and gazillion and so forth. So how is it? Is it 1 plus 1 equals 1, or a bunch of zeros plus Krishna means pure devotee. How does that work? Which one is real? I mean, when you hear 1+1 is 1, then why even bother?
Yeah. So this is in relation to the Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Vishishyate. That the Supreme, that's such a beautiful and poetic verse. Let's see. The Supreme Personality of God is perfect and complete because it's completely perfect. And all emanations, such as this phenomenal world, which are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced from the complete whole is also complete in itself. And because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains in complete balance. So you have this in Brahma Samhita, Ekyopaso rachitum jagadanda kotim, yet shaktir asti jagadanda chayat yaranta. This word chaya is there also, just like in the first verse. Andantarasta paramanu chaya arantarastam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So this one being, ekopyaso rachitum jagadanda kotim, he is behind this whole universe. All the, not universe, I mean, what we know is the universe. It could be, billions and billions of galaxies, but he creates billions of universes. So jagadanda kotim, yet shaktir asti, and by his power, jagat antaha, it's all inside of him. By his own shakti, all the billions and billions and billions of universes are all inside of him. Yet shaktir asti jagadanda chayadantaha andantara paramanu chayantastam. But at the same time, all the billions and billions and billions of atoms that are inside the universes, he is inside each atom at the same time, in his own personal form, in completeness. So as it's stated here, he may create he creates whatever comes out of him is complete. And it doesn't, if I tear a paper in half, I make 2, then it's less. It becomes incomplete. So when you add Krishna, Krishna.
When I'm in Maya, when I'm separated from Krishna, Krishna doesn't become lesser. I'm the one who becomes a zero, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And all our capabilities, all those things amount to nothing.
Jai.
Yes.
Happy Friday, everybody. You're zero without Krishna. Okay. Thank you, Nitai Chand. Wonderful elaboration. When you were describing how Krishna is in every atom, I was like, yeah, this is devotional LSD experience.
Jeffrey Eckler has his hand up.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the class. I just had a follow-on question. Can we ever be without? So to Ananda's point, like, are we zeros, or can we ever really be without?
Everything like that point is all our talents, our capabilities, they amount to nothing if they're not assisting our relationship to Krishna. They're worthless. They're not satisfying us. Yatma supersediti. When we engage in devotional service, that it satisfies us. When we inquire about Yatma supersediti, verse 5 or 6 of first canto, those things, they bring satisfaction to the heart. But all the other qualities that we have, if when they get closer to the point of devotional service, they start to bring a little bit more satisfaction. Like if we find that if people serve humanity, we're getting a little bit closer to our constitutional nature. Then we start to feel a little bit of happiness, but it's still not enough. It's like you could be in a desert, and then you say, I'm thirsty, I'm thirsty, I'm thirsty. And some guy comes riding on a camel, and he's got this big glass jar, and he takes the cap off, and then with the cap, he scrapes it off the side of the jar and just captures a few drops of condensation and he puts it on your tongue. So it doesn't really amount to anything. It doesn't really satisfy. It's only when the full satisfaction is when we have that those qualities are engaged in devotional service.
So how do we reconcile that with Krishna accepting what we have and carrying what we lack?
So restate the question again.
So how do we reconcile that, you know, we have to have satisfying service if Krishna carries what we lack?
So the point about the zero is that when we're not, when our I could be a CEO, I could have a PhD, I could do this or that. All those things don't satisfy the heart.
Oh, because you're not recognizing Krishna.
Yeah. So Ananda Bihari was saying that the example is that when you have all those things, and then they're offered to Krishna, they're like zeros. But then when you put Krishna as one, they become very, very much significant.
Haribol.
Like Prabhupada was always introducing his disciple. Anybody had a PhD, he would say, "This is PhD, blah blah blah." He would always put such significance to it, because it was involved in Krishna service.
Haribol. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, 1 + 1 = Haribol. That's the conclusion. Okay, darshan time, everybody. Stop your car, Michelle. Stand up. No? Okay. No problem.
She's after the freeways.
All right. Nitai Chand, wonderful class. Thank you.
Wonderful Prabhupada philosophy.
Jai, Shishi Radha Muralidhar ki jai, Shigura Chandra ki jai, Nitai Chand Prabhu ki jai, Amrita Kishori, what form have you taken? Van Gogh? Okay, it's a cute...
The rabbit in Van Gogh's bedroom.
Yeah, Krishna's rabbit in Van Gogh's bedroom. Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, love you all. Thank you very much. And come again tomorrow. Srimad Bhagavatam never ends. It was nice seeing you and spending this time with you all. Hare Krishna.